What's cracking, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Conquer Athlete Podcast. I am here, Ryan Bucciantini, with my buddy Jason Leydon, here talking about the game.
Mustaches.
Mustaches are a great conversation. I just saw an article. Now we're going to get into it again.
Yeah.
The people that run Movember
Uh-huh.
are like
Stealing money.
Yeah. Like, it's bullshit.
No way. I was fucking kidding.
Well, not stealing money, but like every other like charity out there are spending significantly more on, quote, if you can't see my fingers, operational costs and salaries than they are actually putting that money back in, to communities or, people that are actually in need. My good buddy, Richard Hill, shout out Richard Hill, posted that today. And I was like, everybody's corrupt.
Bro, it's crazy. I keep going back to like the barbells for boots scandal and like all that stuff. And the girl that, like faked cancer and like got stealing money and like, have you heard that one?
No.
No.
That makes me real upset.
You didn't hear that one?
No.
Your video is blurry right now. Good thing this is audio only. I guess some people see the video, but I forgot her name. God, she was even at my gym. She convinced the world that she was recovering from breast cancer. And she was like the face of barbells for boobs. And she was like linked in with some really, really close friends of mine. And she got so much money given to her to help with her treatments and recovery and all this stuff. And then finally, some of my really close friends were like, I think one of my buddies is going to try to make a Netflix movie out of it, but was like, some stuff doesn't add up. And like, I was always like skeptical because she would talk about like going through chemo and like going through like recovery and things like that. And then like talk about like training and lift all his weights. And I'm like, that just doesn't add up how you're training with that recovery. I'm like, but who am I to,
You're like, I don't
yell.
have boobs.
But yeah, I'm like, who am I to question it? I just assume like, at that point, like, it's like going, I don't want to go on too many tangents and stories, but, and then they hired like a private investigator to follow her.
Damn.
Yeah. And they were like, and the private PI was like, cause they were like calling me, hey, what's going on? And she'd be like, I'm walking into the hospital right now. I'm ready to go get a treatment, all this stuff. And the PI would be like, no, she's sitting having coffee in like Newport, Rhode Island.
Shit.
It was insane, bro. It was insane. But it's like these stories are crazy. Like you hear the good and evil, like the evil and the corruptness, and that's not a word, but whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
the corruption.
Movember really hurts because I feel like when men grow mustaches, their testosterone goes up at least 100 points. Now, it's unverified, but I think it's great. It's just great for men in general. So I don't want to deter them from growing mustaches. I think we need more of that.
If you're listening, not watching, I have a mustache, and my testosterone went from 750 to 1100 due to the mustache alone.
Bro, those are rookie numbers. I'm not even going to divulge what my testosterone is at now.
But I'm saying it's the increase from the mustache.
That's fair. It's fair.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's a 300 to 400 point increase in testosterone with the growth of a mustache. And if you're able to get really short shorts and stand next to a Corvette like a Tom Selleck, it increases another 200.
Just grow a beard and then it goes up.
I feel like the beard might increase estrogen a little bit too, because it's like a beard is like, it's a beard. Like nowadays, you got dudes making cappuccinos with beards. It's
all right.
like,
well, here's what we're gonna do. The next Conquer podcast, where you bring your lab results, I'll bring my lab results, and we'll let the people make the decision.
I'm just saying. I guess you could say like, you still have grow a mustache, grow a beard. It's fun.
Do your research. Don't donate to bullshit things. And the coach.
Check out the Coach RX.
The Coach RX podcast network. Check it out. We're going to keep plugging it. It's been really good for us. It's going to be really good for you. Lots of good podcasts on there. Lots of good people having some important conversations in the fitness space. If you want to get yourself educated, check out the Coach RX podcast.
But if you want to listen to beards and mustache and testosterone, you go to the Conquer Athlete podcast.
Yeah, it's true. There's nobody else on that network rocking this amount of facial hair. I'm confident.
Yeah, you might be the champion.
Without a doubt. It's not even up for debate.
Does a carpet match the drapes?
No, bro. I'm like, no. You think I'm some sort of heathen? Come on.
That would have been amazing if you were
Dude.
just like, yeah.
Neck down, shave. Just smooth. Smooth like a baby's bottom.
I mean,
Christina, my wife, clips the podcast. She's going to be enthused with
mean-
with this clip.
science does show that it adds inches.
I used to be a triathlete, so it's part of the territory.
Part of territory.
Yeah, it's drag. You got to reduce the drag factor.
Facts.
Okay,
Science. It's backed by science.
the games.
The CrossFit Games.
Yeah, so we're, little bit out, it's like a weekish out from the games. By the
weekish.
time this is gonna drop. So we have some events. I want to talk to you about an older article that's floating around on the
Yeah.
Morning Chalk Up, talking about, this reset at the games and how obviously a bunch of veterans aren't coming back, and, kind of get your opinion about that. Are we seeing a new generation pop up, or are the older generation just going out to pasture? Or is it really, CrossFit itself that pushed them out?
Yeah. I did not read the article. I'm not a huge fan of Morning Chalk Up. I feel like they're a pay to play type thing.
Shots
I
fired.
remember fuck them. I remember one time with Morning Chalk Up, they wrote an article a couple years back about like failing gyms, and they fucking put a picture up of me in my gym.
Really?
Yeah, for failing gyms. I was like, I go, A, you never fucking asked to use my photo. B, it has absolutely zero to do with the article. I'm a prospering gym for, at that point, it's like 15 years.
Yeah.
I was like, you want to change it? And it was like radio silence. And then there was some fucking speech to me about like utilization of photos or whatever. It was like, I was like, all right, you guys are just idiots. And then ever since then, like, I feel like everything they talk about and they support is like, it's almost like the team captain with their favorites, and they keep picking their favorites, and it's just, I think half the stuff they put out, some stuff is good, but I think the overall philosophy, a lot of stuff they do, to me, I'm like, that's stupid.
So you're saying they're the CNN of CrossFit
CrossFit media. Yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah, they are, in my opinion. Not everybody on it, whatever.
Well, I don't really care
Anyways.
about them. They don't really matter to me. But I do think it's interesting the amount of people that either didn't make the cut or have genuinely chosen to not participate and put all their eggs in one basket with WFP, which I think is a different conversation. But, you've obviously coached a bunch of people at the highest levels of the sport. Like, do you really believe that this is because of what happened last year? Or is it circumstantial where they're like, hey, this is a good time to put my opinion out there, and I was thinking about leaving, but this gives me kind of a virtue signaling opportunity to both be like, hey, I don't like what happened, but I'm going to leave now?
That is a very hard question to answer, because everything that I'm say from an answer point of view is strictly an opinion with zero facts or data that
100%. We haven't talked to anybody.
essentially, support anything I say.
Yeah.
And I also, at the same point, I have such an immense amount of respect for every athlete in every sport and every athlete in CrossFit. So at no point, and I'm going to get to where I'm going to go. I guess this is kind of like the prerequisite. So at no point do I want people to think that I'm bad-mouthing any athlete or I am disregarding any of their hard work or what they're trying to do. And I think there's a few things with this that come into play, right? I think the situation from last year on how CrossFit handled the extremely unfortunate death is something that did not sit well with a lot of athletes. I think a lot of athletes chose to respond in the way where they feel like their voices could be heard most effectively, right? Like the Chandler Smiths, right? People that are just such amazing athletes and would absolutely be there at the games, choosing to sit out and go with another organization. I think that's part of it for some of them. Absolutely. Putting all your eggs in the World Fitness Project, I don't know how that's going to be. I love the idea of it. I love the format of it. It's just I don't know how much money they have backing behind it. I had this conversation with some friends. I was just out in Seattle, and we were talking about, if you think about like these fringe sports like motocross, right? Like motocross is huge. Like we call it a fringe sport, but it's huge, right? And you have this entire community of support and kind of like a progression to get to the pros, starting from young motocross riders up to pros, and they make money. Can they make tons of living? Like, can they be like billionaires? No. Like at some point there's a top off, but you have this circuit and this support and this infrastructure that supports that sport for young riders into adult riders, right? And it's like, I think the World Fitness Project is the first organization to try to establish that and at least get the framework and structural support in place for it to happen. Now, do they have the financial backing and money to sustain it? I'm not sure, right? We'll have to wait and see on that. So it's like putting all your eggs in that basket, I think, is a risky move. It's a bold move, Cotton. But I think stepping back from the CrossFit Games to have your voice be heard in regards to how they handled the situation, I think is extremely powerful, for a lot of these athletes. I do also, at the same point, think that some athletes, with all the turmoil in CrossFit, the uncertainty, I think that weighs into decisions as well, because the amount of work that goes into reaching that level is immense, and it's an immense amount of sacrifice and dedication. Do you want to do that for an organization that you're just not behind, that just doesn't kind of like feel like they support you, and or feels like it's on the fringe of breaking into a million pieces, right? It's like, I think that is a decision that lots of these athletes have to play with and played with. And then I do think there's some athletes that use it as a moment just to like step away, like a passing of the guard. It's like, Jordan is playing for the Wizards. All right, there's a passing of the guard. Like, people are going to smoke him, right? It's just, young guns are coming up. It's their time. And I think inside the sport, you have a new class coming in. It's their time to shine. I just hope that CrossFit doesn't break into a million pieces and we're able to establish. Like, I still think one of the best moves that ever be made is for some company to buy in and make Rich Froning the CEO.
Yeah.
I think like that would be the best move that anybody can make for the sport of CrossFit. You take someone that already has like probably 1,000 affiliates under his gym, under his program, right? Someone that's been in the game, someone that has a community, has a gym, obviously loves the games and the community. But I think those four things are definitely at play for a lot of these athletes. One, yeah, it's a passing, it's a changing the guard. It's time for some to move on. And like Katrin is having her first baby. God bless her. That's amazing, right? So time to move on to the next stage for some of them. I think for some of them, it came down to, I don't support this organization and company based off what happened. And this is the way I'm going to have my voice be heard. I think for some of them, it's like, hey, I think this other thing has legs. Then I'm going to go full boat in and kind of see what happens, right? And that was 3. What's my 4th one, right? I think for some, it was like, all right, do I want to sacrifice for something that might fall apart before I even get there? It's like so uneven ground, right? So I think all those things kind of came into play with these athletes, but I don't want to assume it was ever just one.
No, I know it's a messy topic at best. I feel like for a lot of athletes, not that it's a win or lose, like you said, it's a personal choice, but it doesn't matter what you do. You're going to get the fors and against on both sides. Mm-hmm. I think when you publicly put it out there, you're going to deal with that. I don't know if that, like, do you just sit back and not say anything and you just kind of like hang in the shadows? I think there's an argument for that. I think there's an argument for being vocal and, clearly being like, I'm not competing for X reason. But yeah, I agree. It's a tough place to be an athlete this year with everything that's going on. Like you are seeing your like your egg, your bubble, like whatever, the thing that you've been working towards slowly starting to crumble. And you're like, where is this ultimately going? Like, I mean, what have you heard?
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard a thing.
I know it's for sale. I have not heard anything about the status of the sale. It kind of seems like they're consolidating the games a little bit. Yeah, making it a little bit less grandioso than years previous. And I don't know if that's from a financial perspective. I don't know if that's from feedback from the athletes. But, in true CrossFit fashion, communication has not been great. And that is
Not been
shitty for
great.
the athletes. Like that's super shitty for the athletes. Yeah.
You
It's
know,
going to be.
it's really a testament to how strong the community is in CrossFit to have it still be standing. You know, and it's still standing because of the community and the rallying that the community does around the belief in what CrossFit provides, even though it is, so to say, individual based around the facility, but there's still what it provides to people, to the community, to the camaraderie, to just people moving, right, and experimenting with movement even more. And I think it's still standing, it still has legs because of that. The hard part is going to be and it's crazy to me how it still hasn't been bought yet. You know, I think maybe they're waiting to get like pennies on the dollar for it, based off the structural demise that it's in. But if you can put the right people in place and the people who understand how to, in my opinion, you know, everyone talks about community and giving back to the community and supporting the community, but it's truly how can you provide a system and a structure where the community feels heard and feels supported, but also, in my opinion, connects the games back to the heart of the community, because that's what really steamrolled CrossFit, in my opinion, was the games, and the heart of the community that supported the games was behind the games. And like all things, it got huge. And yeah, at some point it had to evolve. The way it was chosen to evolve and grow, the structure didn't support it, and it fell through the cracks in the long run. You know, yeah, you had, because think about it, you had your moments where ESPN was out there and CBS and news broadcasting and sponsors were like fighting for money to get in there. And there wasn't that structure in place to capitalize and grow it and develop it and create the underlines for the younger athletes and the older lines for the masters athletes. And all these things were just missed. And, you know, and then it turned out to be put into the spot where it can be put in, and it is now. But it's still there, and there's still like this glimmering light of hope because of the community, because it's still holding on to it, and we should hold on to it. But it's how long are they going to hold on to it before something gets put in place from a top-down perspective that can bring everything together again, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was reading a really interesting article the other day about the consolidation of fitness franchises. Like we're kind of in this, you know, post-pandemic, we saw this huge blow up of like boutique style gyms, and now they're starting to see a consolidation of it. And what was really interesting about this article is they weren't even saying the best were like the ones staying around. It was the ones who have the clearest messaging about who they are, what they do, what they offer, and things like that. And I thought that was super interesting because that has always been a major problem of our sport. Like our sport, although we have definitions with it, is really challenging to define for someone who has no exposure to it. And I wonder if that is really part of the downfall. But like you said, the community side, I think from a, maybe not a brand loyalty, but from a methodology loyalty standpoint, I don't think there's anybody else in the fitness space who has the community that CrossFit does. And that I think is really promising. You know, there's just, I see a lot of people, they're like, hey, I'm going to go try this thing for a while. I'm going to go try this and this. And not that that's bad. Like, I think that's good for a lot of people to find exposure, but that's hard from a business standpoint to like stay around and stay relevant. So I wonder if we're going to see more of these boutique-y things start to get eaten up by the bigger franchises or consolidated into like more of like a lifetime sort of thing where it's just like one massive facility and they have all these different things wrapped up into it, but you lose a lot of the personality of like boutique style fitness that way. So like you said, I think there's still a big glimmer, you know, it's still a shining light. I think it's still really something special, but they got to figure their shit out in how they're going to market it and really like how do we just continue to push the affiliate forward? I think that,
yeah, I mean,
they're just they're the lifeblood, in my opinion.
You know, it's interesting. It's like, if you really think about it, it's like, how do you continue to push the affiliate forward? Because I feel like everything in this life, in this world, has a lifespan, right? And what truly pushed the affiliate forward? It was the CrossFit Games, in my opinion. That's what pushed the affiliate forward. That's what brought excitement to the sport. You know, testing for the fittest around. Who are we? We find the fittest athletes. We make the people the fittest they've ever been in their lives. That's what, in my opinion, drove the affiliate, drove that crazy uptick in CrossFit. So now it's like, how do you push the affiliate forward? I think that's the $1 million question, because everyone's going to have the opinions of like bringing the games back to the affiliate and connecting the athletes back to the affiliates. But how do you connect athletes to the affiliates when the sport is claiming to find the fittest, and you can't just do basic affiliate programming like you used to do back in 2004 and make the games? You can't be a full-time person who does classes 4 days a week and make the games. Sure, there might be an outlier here and there, but that's not going to happen. And I think that's the question that no one can find the answer to, is how do you continually push the affiliate forward, right? And I think that's with any boutique thing. Like you look at F45s, title boxing clubs, like whatever it might be. How do you push the affiliate forward? Like why does High Rocks have affiliates? Because the High Rocks games, quote unquote, right? That's why. If those weren't popular, there would be no High Rocks affiliates. Like you got to have this one shiny thing, which in my opinion drives the affiliate forward. And with the games being where it is, how do you drive the affiliate forward? Does it come back to highlighting the games more, better, effectively, connecting the athletes to the people, connecting the athletes back to the community? Like, I'm not sure. I'm not saying that's the way to do it, but I think that's the $1 million question that's not getting answered, or they don't know how to answer that, or they're answering it incorrectly. It's like, dude, like I don't need affiliate handbooks. I don't need affiliate workshops. I don't need affiliate gatherings and get-togethers. I don't need any of that stuff. Affiliates, in my opinion, don't need that either, and they're not going to use it. And if they do feel like they need it, they're probably going to get it from like Mayhem, right? They're probably going to get it from one of these other organizations that does that. Why? Because they're Mayhem, now they're connected to Rich, right? If they're proven, they're connected to Tia. Oh yeah, Tia, let's jump on a call with Tia. Let's have this thing with Rich. Like, maybe we can get Rich to our gym and do a thing. Let's become Mayhem affiliate. That's what it is. There's that shiny object. So what's CrossFit offering that's a shiny object? They're trying to kind of like the games, the way they treat the masters, the teens, the age groups, the adaptive, the games athletes, like that's been so watered down and left out to die that the affiliates don't have this like shiny object, in my opinion, that they can say, hey, like this is us. Yes, we're for everyone, not for everyone. We test work capacity across broad time and mode domain. You know, everyone can do CrossFit, but everyone's not going to do CrossFit. We are not the games, you know, but it's still CrossFit. Like the games is what attracts people to open up affiliates. And there's love him or hate him, Greg was a guy that in my opinion drove affiliates as well, with the way he talked, the way he presented, his fight against Pepsi, his fight against, you know, big companies, big pharma, like out there waving the flag, stomping his feet, bumping his chest, right? Like people like, fuck yeah, like let's go. Like we're this underground fitness movement, we're this underground craze that's proving, you know, we can change the world, and he's changing it for us, and we're following his lead, and these are top athletes, and you guys can't compete with us. Like we're going to become an affiliate. Like that is, to me, what really pumped this massive rise of CrossFit.
Yeah, there's definitely no leader right now. There's nobody at the top.
Think about what Greg did.
Screaming down.
Yeah, think about what Greg did. Bumping his chest, wave, like good person, bad person. I'm not talking about that. What did he do for the fitness movement, for the fitness revolution? What did he do for affiliates? Like, you know, peacocking everywhere he went. Like, we're the best in the world. Standing on that ground, no matter who he was fighting with, no matter who he was talking to. Right? That's what it was. And everyone rallied and stood right behind him, as they should have. But that's what drove the affiliates, was that strong leadership and then that shiny object of the games. And it's like, we don't have that. There's no one stopping their chest claiming CrossFit's the greatest thing since sliced bread, for a bad expression, right? No one's out there claiming, jumping around, yelling, and fighting everybody over it.
Do you think, this is kind of a change of direction, do you think the method needs to get overhauled?
No, because I think if the method gets overhauled, then it changes the message of CrossFit. They've stood on that method for so long, which gets twisted and turned. And when you hear level one, it's like the method is presented in a way that, whether you agree with it or not, it's presented in a way where it's easy to understand and grab onto. To me, that's what it is. It's easy to be like, okay, work capacity across time, mode of mind, mode of domain, we're going to live in that glycolytic state. Intensity drives adaptation. No, it doesn't. But that's just a ground to stand on, right? Because you look at so many things, it's like, if you truly think about fitness and definitions of fitness, like there's no real ground to stand on. Okay, what truly drives adaptation? Okay, well, we got to separate our strength days and our endurance days, and we got to work on this rep to set range. Well, not really, because of this and that. And There's so many ways to go about it, but this was one clear, decisive methodology that they stood on, and everything was behind it. Right or wrong, it just gave them something to wave the flag, right? So I think, there can be ways to adapt and adjust it, which is what I think they did with the SMEs. Then you have gymnastics courses. Okay, well, no, let's not just kip. Let's build strict strength, right? That's gymnastics SME, right? Okay, and now, well, aerobic capacity course. Well, not really intensity. Let's hone in on some zone 2 work. Let's build a base, and that base will give us structure to go faster on, right? Now let's talk about, weightlifting. Well, okay, let's get better at snatch and clean jerk by getting stronger and then focusing on positional strength and hitting proper technique and form, right? And I think the SMEs are what came in and gave strong structure to the vast sea of fitness and true adaptation and progression. I think what the problem was that anything that didn't stand on that cliff with that flag was deemed as a traitor, right? It was like off with their head, and that's where everyone got booted and X'd out, like the Rob Wolfs and the Greg Everetts and the Mark Twights. And geez, I mean, if you guys go back into the journal, like John Berardi was like, he's the owner, if you don't know, he created Precision Nutrition. Like he was talking about intermittent fasting in the CrossFit Journal back in like 2002, 2003, right? Like all these people were like, yes, this is fantastic. This is a movement. This is a fitness evolution. However, you got to think about this. But off with the head, you're a traitor. Fuck you. You're out of here. You're exiled from CrossFit. That's where it got wrong because everybody loved it. Everybody supported it. Everybody could agree what it was doing for every other modality in fitness. However, the same peacocking that drove the growth of it is also the same peacocking that pushed a lot of other areas away from it. So it's always a give and a take with everything in this world. Do I think, an overhaul of the methodology? I don't think so. I just think it's coming back to the roots of what made it successful. Like, do I believe in a methodology? Like, no. Like, do I think the methodology is great? It's like, what do you mean by how do I believe in it? Do I think it's an amazing methodology for fitness to get people moving? Sure. Do I think everyone should be doing high rep snatches and muscle ups? No. Do I think everyone needs to be living in intensity? No. However, it gives us a great starting point for people just to move, for people just to exercise, for people to get exposure to a barbell, to gymnastics, which is the definition of gymnastics is body weight movements done in space and time, right? To conditioning work, to combining. Let's combine a barbell with a run. Let's combine, let's get people on a bar. Let's get people swinging from the rings. Let's get people moving through space and adding things. Like that, to me, is the magic of it, which can't be put in a box, and it got try to get put in a box too much. However, I also understand why you had to put it in a box because you got to bow it up and sell it, right?
Yeah, I mean, this sounds like a half argument of capitalism and a half argument of fitness prescription. Which, I mean, I think any franchise would probably deals with that, right? Like you have to make it sexy enough that people ultimately want to do it. And then you have to obviously get people results. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a challenging question to ask. But I agree with you that Greg was a big catalyst that we lost. Obviously, everyone has different opinions about Greg. I wish more people got to meet Greg in person. Because I know my personal interactions with Greg in person were always very pleasant, very cordial. He talked with me for like 45 minutes in the middle of regionals in his private box, having never met me before, just knew me as an affiliate owner. So I really appreciated that. But that's definitely something we don't see from the top. Like I feel like the top is running away from the problem for whatever reason. If that's because they're, the board doesn't want them making statements or whatever, but the ship definitely needs a captain for sure. Somebody that's vocal.
I think the problem is like you said, I think the top doesn't know what CrossFit is. No matter what they say, the top doesn't know what it is. The top doesn't know what the community is. And then they're trying to control it politically, which is the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
With the environment of it. That's what I'm saying. Like if you put someone like a Rich in there who has his strong beliefs and opinions on what's good and what's bad, he's not afraid to say what's bad, but he's someone that tries to figure out an answer for what's bad, right? He's not someone that's going to run from it. He's not someone that's going to run from confrontation. He's not someone that's going to run from people that disagree with him, as we've seen over the past 15, 20 years. Like he could care less. I think that's what you need. You don't need a handshaker and a smiler. You need someone that understands what this is, understands the community, and can stand on top of that fucking mountain and bang their fucking chest and have fucking answers. I think that's what we need.
Yeah, I think Rich definitely has the people behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think there's probably far and few that would legitimately be upset if he were to get handed the keys.
Yeah. You know, and like, if you think about back in the early days of CrossFit, like, I get why Greg tried to create the health, because even when in the first journals, he would talk about the demise of health when you pursue the top level of sport, right? He talked about it all the time. And I think he always believed that CrossFit was for health. I think in his heart of hearts, it was always like, the reason behind CrossFit is for health, that we can get people healthy and we can improve this pandemic of obesity and autoimmune disease. But the games is what drove the community. The games is what drove the name. And I think once they tried to separate everything and pull it apart, that's where they started getting cracks in the foundation.
Yeah, maybe the conversation just should have been around that these are the pros and cons. Like, you can stay in this lane and pursue a more wellness direction, or you can go this direction at the potential cost of, virtuosity or whatever it is you want to call it. And maybe that's the argument, instead of trying to bridge the two without any like clear conversation around pros, cons.
Yeah, it's crazy because I always relate it back to running. It's like you poll 99% of people in the world who run or try. Everyone thinks they can run. Everyone thinks like, yeah, I can couch the 5K, couch to a mile, right? It's never like, you don't relate running to trying to shoot for a 2-hour marathon. But the CrossFit Games is that. The CrossFit Games is shooting for a 2-hour marathon, right? The difference is with CrossFit, everyone relates CrossFit to that 2-hour marathon, the CrossFit Games, versus what it was originated for, which was health, right? It always kind of like, that line for CrossFit was never able to get crossed. It was like blurred. Whereas you look at someone like running, and it's like, all right, people don't run at the expectation of, they're going to try to do the Boston Marathon. They're going to try to do a 2-hour marathon. It's like, no, I'm just going to go out and jog for fucking 30 minutes to feel better.
Well, to play devil's advocate, do you think that's actually an affiliate problem of the leadership at the affiliates not educating people enough at that, right? Because like the average person, they don't get that exposure. Like, you're getting that exposure to that conversation of virtuosity versus performance, or wellness versus sickness. Like, you're getting that in the level 1, which, that's not going to translate to the average clientele. So is this actually the affiliate, or the coaches at the affiliates not doing a good enough job of explaining those two kind of crossroads of like, listen, you can focus here, or you can focus here, or you can, find a blend between the two if you manage it, really, really well. And there's some accountability within that. But that's, I don't think we can let them totally off the hook and just say that it's an HQ problem. Trying to say that HQ can manage all of that is unrealistic.
Yeah, and I hear you. I think the only reason why I have a little bit of pushback is because all the marketing and promotion and discussions came from HQ, not the affiliates. Like, the affiliates aren't putting out marketing to the public. Like, people that walk into affiliate, for the most part, they might be like, okay, like, yeah, like, some affiliates want to be games level affiliates, and they're marketing towards that.
Yep.
Some affiliates don't, and they market towards other things, right? But the mass publication, in my opinion, always came from top down.
Yeah, but what do you think people are consuming more of? I would argue that the relationships are happening inside of the affiliate, and the relationships are what drive hard conversations, not Instagram posts from HQ.
It's challenging because I use my affiliate as an example. My affiliate, CrossFit Games athletes for 20 years, CrossFit teams that stood on the podium second in the world. I've never marketed my affiliate as a games affiliate. I've never marketed towards the games level athlete. My marketing always from day one has been towards the everyday person, right? However, every time I speak to people in my town, it's, we can't go to CrossFit Milford. They're all about games level athletes, and they're too competitive, and Jay's too intense, or CrossFit isn't for me. You see that CrossFit Games on TV. It's like, no matter how much fucking marketing and promotion, Instagram and Facebook shit that I did against all of that, because they believed everything they saw, which is pumped in the front of their face on TV, and the drive from there.
Well, 2 points. Your opinion doesn't matter because you almost went out of business, according to Morning Chalk Up. But that's what I mean. Like the conversation. So like you have you, leader of CrossFit Milford, your coaches, you're ultimately creating the culture within the community. The community or the coaches are having the conversations with the athletes. And then the athletes are stepping out into the community and be like, listen, this was my experience. Like this is actually what it was. And what you're seeing, from their marketing is actually what like I'm experiencing. So yeah, I mean, whatever. There's obviously a balance between the two, but at least in my own career coaching in person, I feel like I had a bigger impact in getting people to change their opinion about how to train through in-person conversation. But I mean, that's labor intensive, right? Like that's a lot of sidebar conversation outside of class being like, maybe you should think about this for X, Y, and Z reasons. And some people have that bandwidth and some people don't. Some people want to have those conversations. Some people don't care too, right? So messy.
Your chest looks huge.
Dude, I did some incline bench today. I did some flies. What else did I do? Yeah, I'm on a big trap program right now, trying to get my pack to sit a little bit better. Kind of
my son is on a trap program. He wants big traps.
Dude, it's the best. It's the best. You also buy me fucking large t-shirts all the time. And so that's part of it.
You were $183 when we first met. Now you're like 223.
Yeah.
What do you weigh?
I'm probably 223 right now. I'm trying to drop 10 pounds.
I'm so good at that. I picked that out from looking at you on screen.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens when this baby comes. I feel like 223 may turn into 233 instead of 213, but we'll see.
Tough.
We'll see how that goes.
Well, we're going to end it there, folks. I feel like we can keep I really enjoyed this topic, actually. This is something I enjoyed talking about. I feel like we can keep going, but we're going to stop.
If you guys, if you guys have topics around current events, not just around like shit talking or anything like that, but if you're an affiliate owner or whatever, an athlete, and you want us to kind of dive into more of these current event things instead of just like training, all that good stuff, shoot Jay a DM. Don't shoot me a DM. Maybe go Jay's DM. He's always in the DMs. And let us know.
Don't slide into the DMs with any pictures, though. You got to slide into Ryan's DMs. My DMs, just send me a message.
If you slide into my DMs, you're definitely getting one back. For sure. And it's going to be
we're gonna see the carpet matches the drapes or not.
Well, all right. My OnlyFans is coming in 2026, so if this is the entry point,
I bet you there's some crazy people out there would love like dudes with gray beards. Like Dumbledore from Impersonations.
Bro, this isn't gray. What are you talking about?
If you you could throw on a wizard hat and do like a whole like
a Gandalf sort of vibe.
Oh my god, Gandalf the Grey, like you would crush it like Lord of the Rings OnlyFans page.
No, that would be like Gandalf the Gay.
That would crush too.
That would crush. Yeah, that would crush. Yeah. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode today. We'll see you guys next week.
Later. Oh, I can't stop.